Iran and the United States are in the middle of negotiations to reach some kind of peace deal. The querent would like to know if this deal is going to go through and what the outcome might be. The United States is signified by Saturn, ruler of the ascendant, as the querent is America. Saturn is in the sign of Mars in its fall. That's meaningful because while Iran is signified by Venus, the ruler of house 9, Mars signifies the enemies of Iran. So that signifies Israel, which is who the United States works for. Venus is on the 6th cusp. That is meaningful because the 6th signifies the government of a foreign country. The turn 10th from the 9th. It's ruled by the moon, who happens to be translating light from Venus to Saturn. So the moon is a country that is heading the negotiations or the discussions behind the scenes to make this agreement possible. Given the context, that country is China, even though we know that Pakistan is doing the legwork. The country who wants Venus and Saturn to come to some agreement is China and, to a lesser degree, Russia. Notice that the moon is in the sign of Venus and the exaltation of Saturn, beautifully describing an ideal mediator. It wants the best for both parties. However, look at those parties. Venus is in the detriment of Saturn. Saturn is in the detriment of Venus, perfectly describing the antagonistic relationship between Iran and the United States. What can we expect from a separating square with Venus and an applying opposition to Saturn? This is a mundane horary about one of the most difficult relationships ever recorded in history. A square and an opposition are perfectly descriptive of the difficulties we're dealing with. It's very likely that whatever agreement they come to will fall short of its requirements for peace or will be short-lived. They are going to agree to some things and they're going to disagree with other things that are not acceptable to Iran. Because remember, we know from previous horaries and from understanding the context that Iran calls the shots here, not the United States. After this agreement that's being mediated comes into fruition, the next thing that happens is a direct square between Iran and the United States. So there will be pending issues. And we know from the context that the discussions about nuclear weapons is a secondary point to this agreement. They're going to have 30 days to discuss that. So that's what's coming next. Square or negative reception. Does that look like a recipe for a future agreement? I don't think so. Let's take a peek at the state of Israel in this situation. Israel was all puffed up in Aries. As soon as they, along with the United States, attacked Iran, it went into detriment. And that's where it's going to stay for the foreseeable future. However, notice that it is still Saturn's dispositor. So it still gives the United States orders about what to do or not do. The fact that it's in detriment adds insult to injury. Pluto on the ascendant is descriptive of the United States predicament in this situation. We are not only in fall, but we are being further dragged down by our association with Israel. The volatility of the situation is very well described by all these planets being in cardinal signs. The only permanent thing here is Israel's state. It's entrenched in its position. Mercury and Venus are conjunct by Anticia. I don't know how to interpret that without further understanding of the context. So I'm just mentioning to those interested that this is present and it's going to unfold in some way. Jupiter is also important. It's working with the moon, as we can see. It's in the moon's sign, and it has power over Iran. What is that? I am not sure. We can watch and see how it unfolds too. If you want to learn more about mundane horary astrology, check out my website, my books, and my webinars.